What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time for the first upset alert video of the 2023 college football season for week number 1 of the college football season. College football is officially finally back. It starts tomorrow. Pretty much, started this past weekend, but we got the real season beginning this weekend. We have games coming up tomorrow, and then we have games pretty much all throughout the weekend, continuing on until about Labor Day on Monday. So, again, we got a bunch of games coming up here in week number 1. It's time for our first upset alert video of the 2023 season. And how this video works, we're going to give you 8 games total, 4 games each that are most likely to be upsets, and then 4 games that are most not likely to be upsets. And this, in order for me to call it an upset alert type game, the spread has to be about single digits. And also, if it's not considered an upset, the spread has to be double digits. And I just do top 25 teams. I do pretty much, top 25 matchups, but I also do top 25 versus unranked teams as well. But let's get right into it here with our first upset alert video of the 2023 college football season. Again, for week 1 of the college football season. We'll start with the games that are most not likely to be upsets here coming up this weekend. We'll start with this one. It's TCU and Colorado. TCU coming into this game as the 17th ranked team in the country. This game will be at 12 o'clock Eastern Time, so noon Eastern Time this Saturday on September the 2nd. This will be on Fox here. TCU got home field advantage going into this game. And TCU is about a 20.5 point favorite, and that's a big, spread there if you're a TCU team or also a TCU fan. And the over and under is at 64. So they're kind of expecting a high scoring game in this one. I really don't see Colorado scoring a ton of points in this game. I am kind of concerned about TCU's offense going into this game, especially for all the talent that they lost from last season. But I think defensively, this team should be really strong. I don't really think they have any problems on that defensive side of the football this upcoming season. They could be really a top 10 or actually like a top defense in the Big 12 this year. This is a rematch from last year. It's a revenge game here for Colorado. Deion Sanders will make his coaching debut this upcoming Saturday. And again, you look at last year's matchup, TCU blew out Colorado in this game. Colorado doesn't really have a big chance to knock off TCU in this game, according to the FBI. I mean, Colorado's got a long way to go before they can really compete with these other teams, in the country. So this is our first game that is most not likely to be an upset. And again, this game's at 12 o'clock Eastern Time this Saturday on Fox, and TCU favored by 20.5 points. Let's go to the second game now, and it's Washington and Boise State. This game's at 3:30 Eastern Time this Saturday on ABC. Washington has home field advantage going into this game as well. And the over and under is at 58.5. Washington favored by 14.5 points in this game. I'm very surprised by that number. I think it should be a little bit more than that. I think it should be at least in the 20s. This Washington team, they're going to be a really good team this year. I don't really see any concerns going into this game for Washington. Boise State's not a bad, group of 5 team. They're usually, one of the top teams in the Mountain West every year. But this game right here, I just think Washington won't have any problems in this game. And in this game is going to be on ABC. We're going to see what this Washington team looks like. And this is a veteran team. That's why the reason why they're ranked in the top 10 this year in the top 25 and everything. So at Washington, they're a playoff contender heading into this year. I mean, Washington's just got a lot of hype. That's all I can say about the Huskies. And like I said, I don't really see any concerns going into this game for Washington. I think they should go out there and dominate. But it's week number 1. We never know about sometimes, when we do these most likely not to be an upset alert type games. Usually these games turn out to be upsets, and that really just happens a lot in college football. But Washington, their favorite going into this game by 14.5 points. And this game's at 3:30 Eastern Time on September the 2nd on ABC. Let's now go to the third game now. We got Penn State and West Virginia. Penn State ranked number 7 in the AP poll, and obviously ranked number 7 in my top 25. This game's at 7:30 Eastern Time, so it's a night game this Saturday on NBC. Penn State favored by 20.5 points in this game, and the over and under is at 50. So they're kind of calling this game a low-scoring type game. I was kind of going to do a game preview / game prediction for this one. But again, I just think Penn State is going to dominate this game. I think offensively, Penn State is what I'm concerned about for them this year. They're going to have a young offense. They lost a lot of talent on that side of the football, but they got a new quarterback that's really, highly talented. I think defensively this Penn State team will pretty much dominate the game. West Virginia, I don't think they're going to be all that terrible this year. I just don't think they have a really good opportunity to knock off Penn State here, especially on the road. It's a very tough place to play, and especially at a night game, in front of a huge crowd at Penn State. I think Penn State is probably going to win this game easily. So Penn State here as the favorite going into this game against West Virginia. And again, this game is on Saturday on September the 2nd at 7:30 p.m. So it's a night game, and Penn State's favored by 20.5 points. Let's go to the last game now that is most not likely to be an upset, and this one is really shocking to me. It's Clemson and Duke. This game is not until about Monday. This game is on September the 4th. That's on Labor Day. This game's at 8 o'clock Eastern time, so it's a late night game, and it's an ACC conference game to start out the year of 2023. It's also an ESPN game. I could see why it's an ESPN game because this is a big-time game. But surprisingly, Clemson is favored by 13 points in this game. I just don't really see how Clemson can only be favored by about a touchdown in this game. And I've been talking about this Duke team, all offseason. I think they have a really good opportunity to be really good this year. And they have a chance to knock off Clemson in this game. I think they have a really good chance, but the FBI, according to them, they only give them about an 8% chance or maybe a 13% chance to knock off Clemson in this game, which is very surprising to me. I have no idea why they don't really give Duke credit. This is a top 25 team. This is a veteran Duke team as well. And I think they have a really good opportunity going into this game to knock off Clemson. I think they have a confidence going in. They got the home crowd behind them as well. But Clemson, basically my concern for them is the offense. We have to see what this offense is going to look like going into this game on Monday night. But defensively, they should be pretty strong. We're going to see what Cade Klubnik looks like at the quarterback position, if he can stay consistent for this Clemson team. Like I said all offseason, if Clemson just stays consistent on the offensive side of the football, Clemson's got a really good chance to be a dangerous team, but it's going to really, they're going to have to prove it in the first 4 weeks of the season. But this is a tough game to start out the year for Clemson, and again, it's at 8 o'clock Eastern time on the road at Duke, and I just don't really see how Duke is not getting any credit for this game coming up. I think the spread should be a little bit lower for this game. I think it should be at least by maybe 9 points or maybe by a touchdown. So Duke here and Clemson, this game is on Labor Day night at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and it's also the only game on Monday night, and those are the games that are most not likely to be upsets, but I'm still really shocked about this one. Again, Clemson favored by 13 points in this game, but those are my games, 4 games that are most likely not to be upsets. Let's now get to the games that are most likely to be upsets, and we'll start with this one. It's Florida and Utah. This game's tomorrow night on August 31st at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and it is on ESPN. It's also a rematch from last year's game. Utah favored by 6.5 points in this game for tomorrow night. The over and under is at 45, so they're kind of predicting a low-scoring type game. Cam Rising is playing in this game. He's not probably 100% healthy going into this game, but that's the good news there for Utah. You at least got Cam Rising playing in this game. Even without Cam Rising, I think Utah probably would have won that game. I'm not really saying that Florida is going to win it. I think they have a really good opportunity to win this game, but there's just so many question marks for the Gators. There's just so many question marks. We don't know how good this offense is going to be. We don't know how good Graham Mertz is going to be for this Florida offensive system. And again, when he was at Wisconsin, he just wasn't his best, and he was a highly talented prospect coming out of high school. So we're going to kind of find out how good Graham Mertz is in this game, but it's against a, top 15 team in Utah. And this is also a revenge game here for Utah from last year's matchup. Florida beat Utah last year 29-26 in the Swamp, but this year they play on the road in this game. I just think it's going to be a difficult road game for Florida, but this is going to be a very competitive game. That's the first game that is most likely to be an upset. Utah, again, favored by 6.5 points in this game, and this game is tomorrow night on ESPN at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Second game here, it's the Battle of the Carolinas. We got North Carolina and South Carolina. Game time is at 7:30 p.m. this Saturday, and it will be an ABC game. This game is in Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the Carolina Panthers. North Carolina comes into this game as a favorite by 2.5 points. The over and under is at 64.5, so they're calling this game as a high-scoring type matchup. And I do agree with the over and under. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth offensive game. You got two talented quarterbacks, and, Spencer Rattler and, of course, Drake May. Drake May doesn't have more experience than Spencer Rattler does, but he's definitely one of the top quarterbacks heading into the country this year. I mean, there's no question about it. And also in the ACC, I mean, in his conference, he's definitely one of the top quarterbacks, maybe besides Jordan Travis heading into this season. We're going to find out how this South Carolina team is going to look this year. I mean, this would be a really good win for South Carolina if they can knock off North Carolina to start out the year. That gets them going into, that gives them momentum going into the rest of the year and the rest of the season. But if South Carolina wins this game, I think they'll believe they'll be ranked in the top 25. I didn't rank South Carolina in my top 25. I just have to see a little bit more from South Carolina. I know they knocked off like 2 top 10 teams at the end of the year last year, but if they do defeat North Carolina here this weekend, I will put them here in the top 25. But North Carolina is the ranked team going into this one. They're the favorites as well going into this game. There probably will be more Tar Heel fans than Gamecock fans, but again, this is going to be a very, very competitive game. It's not going to be a competitive game on the defensive side of the football. It just really comes down to both offenses in this game and who wins in a shootout. I already done a game preview and prediction on this game, and I did predict North Carolina to win it in a shootout. So, again, this game's at 7:30 Eastern Time this Saturday. Big-time game here, and College Game Day will be on, coverage for this game as well. That will be the first College Game Day of the 2023 college football season. Let's go to the third game now, and it's our first Group of 5 upset alert game for this upcoming season. It's Tulane and South Alabama. This game's at 8 o'clock Eastern Time this Saturday on ESPNU, so it's not on a big coverage type game. And this game's in New Orleans, so it's a home game for Tulane. Tulane's favored going into this game by 6.5 points, and the over and under is at 52. I think South Alabama's got a pretty good opportunity to knock off Tulane in this game. I do have Tulane ranked number 18 in my top 25 poll. I just really am high on this Tulane team. They got a lot of experience coming back this year. But don't sleep on South Alabama. This team is going to be really good this year, and I think they do have an opportunity to knock off Tulane in the first game of the season, because if South Alabama knocks off Tulane in the first game of the season, that just really ruins my top 25, and I probably won't put, Tulane in the top 25 anymore for the rest of the year. So Tulane has to prove to me that they are a really good team this year, but also South Alabama, just don't really sleep on this team. I mean, they have a really good opportunity to pull off an upset here to begin the 2023 season. Again, this is the only Group of 5 matchup that I have here in my upset alert video, and this game, again, is at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPNU, so it's not like a big coverage channel, but I will try to keep an eye on, the Group of 5 matchups this year, and pretty much, watch some of the Group of 5 games as well. So Tulane here, again, favored by 6.5 points, and this game's at 8 o'clock Eastern Time this Saturday, and that's the third game that is most likely to be an upset. Let's now go to the last game that is most likely to be an upset, and this is pretty much, the biggest game of the weekend here in week number 1. It's not on a Saturday or Friday or Thursday or on that Monday. It's on a Sunday this year, and it's the Florida State Seminoles and the LSU Tigers. Top 10 showdown here coming up this Sunday on September the 3rd. And this game's at 7:30 Eastern Time, so it's a night game, the night before Labor Day, and it's on ABC in Orlando, Florida this year instead of Louisiana last year. LSU's going into this game as the favorite right now at 2.5 points, and the over and under is at 56. So they're calling this one maybe a low-scoring type game, competitive ball game as well. And I think this is definitely going to be a very competitive game like it was last year. It came down to an extra point. LSU missing that extra point last year. But LSU wasn't really that terrible. After that game last year, LSU got better down the stretch, and both of these teams just went on to have really good seasons. Florida State didn't make the ACC championship last year, but LSU made the SEC title. And you look at both of these teams coming into this year, they have a lot of expectations and a lot of, really good chances to make the college football playoff. They have a really good opportunity also to make their conference championship games. Florida State's got a really good opportunity to make it back to the playoff for the first time, in 9 years. And LSU just has a chance to be just that really good team in the SEC. Both of these teams are ranked in the top 5 in my preseason, or I should say in my Week 1 Top 25 video that I did a couple days ago. And again, the winner of this game will probably move up to number 4 for me. Florida State's ranked number 4, and then LSU is ranked number 5. So the winner of this game will probably be number 4. But, maybe the loser of this game probably doesn't go down that much. But again, this is a big-time game, and I did predict LSU to win this game in my game preview / prediction. I just do like LSU in a close game. I think they're out for revenge in this game as well against Florida State. But this is definitely the biggest game of the college football season. I don't think it's just the biggest game of week number 1. This has to be the biggest game of the year. I mean, Florida State and LSU, two teams that are just battling maybe to have a really good rest of the year, and maybe this is kind of like a playoff game. I mean, the winner of this game goes on to really have a great rest of the year. I'm not saying the other team, the loser of this game, is going to have a bad rest of the year, but it just really decides who is going to be in the playoff, probably with the best chance at the end of the year. So this game is at 7:30 Eastern time. Both of these teams got some high expectations. Transfers have been really helped them out, and also the recruiting classes have been really astonishing for both of these teams. So LSU and Florida State, game time is at 7:30 p.m., and on September the 3rd on that Sunday in Orlando, there might be more Florida State fans there, but LSU is favored going into this game by 2.5 points. That is my upset alert games for week number 1 of the 2023 college football season. Again, we'll do this series every Wednesday. I mean, pretty much, halfway through the week before, every, week of college football gets here. And again, I hope you enjoyed this series. We are counting down now to about 24 hours away from college football. We got some big-time games coming up for you tomorrow, and then, of course, on the weekend, and then continuing all the way until about Labor Day on that Monday. But give me your thoughts on these upset alert games. What do you think? Who do you think should be on this upset alert list? Were there any games that I missed over the weekend? But stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports Channel.